don't ever want to lose this person. It's not just how much fun you have together. It's not even just the passion. It's emotional security. It's that deep, unshakable feeling that he can be himself with you. That's the thing that makes a man truly addicted. A lot of people mistake emotional addiction for neediness, but those are two very different things. You don't want a man to be dependent on you in an unhealthy way. That's not what emotional addiction is. What you do want is for him to feel that when he's with you, he's in a place where he doesn't have to put up a front, where he can let go of the weight of the world and just be. And let me tell you something, not many people offer that. Most of the time, men are walking around with an armor on. They have to. They're expected to be strong, to have it together, to always know the answer. They're told directly or indirectly that showing too much vulnerability makes them weak. And so they hold things in. They deal with their stress alone. They don't let people see the moments when they feel unsure or afraid or just tired. But here's what happens when a man meets a woman who makes him feel safe. He lets his guard down in a way he doesn't with other people. He stops pretending. He stops performing. And suddenly he starts associating that safety with you. That's when he becomes emotionally addicted, not because he needs saving, but because he finally has a space where he can be real. Now here's the key. Creating emotional safety isn't about fixing him. That's a trap a lot of people fall into. They think, oh, if I just keep solving his problems, he'll love me forever. No, it's not your job to be his therapist. What is your job is to create an environment where he feels seen and understood. So how do you do that? First, listen, not just to the words, but to the meaning behind them. When he talks about his day, his dreams, his frustrations, don't just wait for your turn to speak. Be present, hear him, make him feel like what he's saying matters. You'd be shocked at how rare that is. Second, don't judge his vulnerabilities. If he shares something with you that he wouldn't normally say out loud, don't use it against him. Don't dismiss it. Don't laugh at it unless it's meant to be funny. Because in that moment, he's testing something. He's testing whether he can trust you. If you break that trust, he'll retreat. He'll shut down. And once that happens, it's really hard to get that openness back. Another important part of being his safe haven is emotional consistency. ADM. Man needs to feel that when he turns to you, he knows what he's going to get. If one day you're loving and supportive, and the next day you're cold and distant just to test him or play games, he won't feel safe. He'll feel like he has to work for your approval, and that's exhausting. Emotional addiction isn't built on uncertainty. It's built on knowing that when he's with you, he doesn't have to guess how you feel about him. And this is important. Being his safe haven doesn't mean you never challenge him. A lot of people think emotional safety means agreeing with everything he says or never calling him out when he's wrong. That's not what keeps a man. What keeps a man is knowing that when you do challenge him, it comes from a place of love, not attack, that he can trust you to be honest with him, but in a way that makes him better, not in a way that makes him feel small. And the final piece, let him be your safe haven too, because addiction is mutual. If you create a dynamic where he feels like he can open up to you, but you never open up to him, he'll feel the imbalance. He'll feel like you're some kind of emotional sponge rather than a partner. Let him be there for you sometimes. Let him see that you have moments of vulnerability too. Because when a man feels like he is the person you turn to, when he sees that you trust him the way he trusts you, that's when the emotional bond becomes unbreakable. This isn't about games. This isn't about manipulation. It's about creating something real, something that makes him crave your presence, not because he's scared to lose you, but because he's never felt anything like it before. That's emotional addiction. And that's what makes him choose you every single day. People don't get addicted to things that make them feel nothing. They get addicted to things that make them feel everything. And when it comes to creating an emotional connection with a man, you have to understand that his emotions are what will make him stay, not just logic or convenience. See, a man might be attracted to you because you're beautiful. He might even respect you because you're intelligent, independent, and strong. But what makes him emotionally addicted to you isn't just those things. It's how you make him feel when he's around you. And that feeling has to be something he craves more than anything else. Most people approach relationships in a way that's entirely predictable. They go through the motions, keep things surface level, and then wonder why their connection never reaches that deep, undeniable level. But if you want to create a real emotional pull, you have to break that pattern. You have to spark emotions that keep him engaged, intrigued, and coming back for more. And the way to do that? It's not just by being there. It's by creating moments that bring out the full range of emotions in him. Think about it. What do we remember most in life? We remember the moments that made us feel truly alive, the moments that shook us out of autopilot, the laughter that made our stomachs hurt, the conversations that made us see the world differently, the challenges that pushed us beyond what we thought we were capable of. That's what you need to create in your relationship. You need to become the person who brings those experiences into his life. Now, I'm not saying you need to manufacture drama or play mind games to keep things exciting. That's manipulation, not emotional depth. What I'm talking about is genuine emotional variety. It's making sure that your relationship isn't just one flat note. It's a full symphony of experiences that make him feel something real. So how do you do that? One of the biggest ways is through contrast art. If everything is always easy, always comfortable, always predictable, there's nothing to spark emotional addiction. But when there's a mix of excitement and calm, challenge and comfort, adventure and intimacy, that's when someone becomes hooked. Because now they're not just experiencing a relationship, they're experiencing life in its fullest form, and you're the person bringing that to them. Here's what I mean. Imagine a couple who spends every evening watching TV on the couch, eating the same takeout, having the same conversations. It's nice, it's comfortable, but it's also forgettable. Now imagine a couple who surprises each other with spontaneous dates, who playfully challenge each other, who engage in deep conversations, who laugh uncontrollably over the most ridiculous inside jokes. That's the kind of connection that sticks. That's the kind of relationship that feels addictive. Let's take humor, for example. Playfulness is one of the most powerful ways to create an emotional high. If you can make a man laugh, really laugh, not just polite chuckles, you're tapping into one of the deepest forms of connection. Laughter isn't just about entertainment, it's about chemistry. It's about dropping your guard and feeling a moment of pure joy. And when a man associates that kind of joy with you, it becomes something he wants more of. But humor alone isn't enough. You also need depth. You need those conversations that make him think, that challenge him, that make him feel like every time he talks to you, he walks away with a new perspective. Men don't just fall for beauty. They fall for the way a woman makes them see the world differently. If you can create conversations that make him reflect, that make him curious, that make him want to keep learning from you, he's going to feel something for you that goes beyond just attraction. And then there's passion. Passion isn't just about physical attraction. It's about energy. It's about the way you talk about your dreams, the way you light up when you're doing something you love, the way you bring excitement into the simplest moments. When a man sees a woman who has that kind of energy, it's intoxicating because it makes him feel like life with her is going to be something different, something exhilarating, something unforgettable. Now, here's where most people get it wrong. They think emotional connection is about always being agreeable, always being there, always saying yes. But the truth is, challenge creates chemistry. If you're the woman who isn't afraid to tease him a little, to playfully call him out, to push him to be better, you become someone he respects as well as desires. A man doesn't become addicted to someone who's just a mirror of everything he wants to hear. He becomes addicted to someone who brings out a fire in him, someone who makes him want to show up for her in a bigger way. That's why the best relationships have a balance of softness and strength. There are moments of deep vulnerability where you're both raw and open with each other. But there are also moments of challenge, of unpredictability, of excitement. It's that balance that keeps a man emotionally invested, because it means he's never fully figured you out. There's always something more to discover. always a new side of you that keeps things fresh. And here's the most important part. When a man feels like you're the person who brings this kind of emotional experience into his life, you become irreplaceable. Because the truth is, most people don't live this way. Most relationships settle into routine. Most people lose that sense of wonder, of passion, of excitement. But when you are the person who keeps that spark alive, who makes him feel truly alive, then suddenly the thought of losing you isn't just sad, it's unbearable. Because now he's not just losing a person, he's losing a feeling that he can't find anywhere else. And that's how you make a man emotionally addicted to you. Not by playing games, not by chasing him, but by being the person who brings something into his life that no one else does. An experience, a feeling, a connection that isn't just nice, it's necessary. You see, one of the biggest mistakes people make in relationships is thinking that the way to keep someone hooked is by constantly showering them with validation. Telling them how amazing they are, always agreeing with everything they say, making them feel like they're the center of your universe. Now, don't get me wrong, appreciation is important, but there's a massive difference between appreciation and worship. When a man feels like he is the only thing that defines your happiness, that's not attractive. It's pressure, it's suffocating. And deep down, it actually makes him lose respect. Because here's the truth. Men don't fall in love with someone who simply boosts their ego. They fall for the woman who challenges them, inspires them, and makes them want to step up. Think about it. When have you ever been drawn to someone who just agrees with everything you say, who never challenges you, who never brings their own opinions, ideas, or energy into the equation? It's boring, it's predictable, and predictability, in the wrong way, can kill attraction. You have to be a woman of value, and what that means is that you have to have your own world, a world that's rich, exciting, and full of things that light you up. A woman of value is someone who doesn't seek validation from a man because she already knows her worth. She doesn't need someone to constantly tell her she's beautiful to feel beautiful. She doesn't need someone to always reassure her that she's wanted because she already carries that certainty within her. And when a woman operates from this place, something really powerful happens. People start to gravitate toward her. Now, some people hear this and they think, so, you're saying I should act like I don't care? Play hard to get? No, playing hard to get is just that, playing. And playing games only gets you so far. The point is not to act like you don't care. It's to genuinely build a life that excites you so that when someone enters that life, they feel lucky to be a part of it. They see that you have things going on, that you're passionate, that you have your own goals, and suddenly they don't just see you as a love interest, they see you as an inspiring person, and that's what creates emotional addiction. It's not about making someone feel like they are the most important thing in your life. It's about making them feel like being with you makes them better, that your presence in their life is something that adds depth, energy, and excitement. Because let's be real, people don't stay addicted to something that's easy and predictable. They stay addicted to what makes them feel something powerful. Now, here's where a lot of people go wrong. They start out as this vibrant, independent person, full of excitement and ambition. And then the moment they get into a relationship, they let that identity fade. They make their entire world about this one person. And at first, sure, the guy might love the attention, but over time, he starts to sense that something has shifted, that the person he was originally drawn to, the woman who had so much going for her, who had passions, who had standards, is now just orbiting around him. And what do you think happens? He starts to pull away. That's why you have to be intentional about maintaining your sense of self. Not just for the relationship, but for you. Keep doing the things you love. Keep pursuing your passions. Keep growing. When you do this, you naturally create a magnetic pull that keeps him intrigued, keeps him invested, keeps him coming back. Not because you're playing games, not because you're manipulating him, but because you are continuously evolving into someone he admires. The moment a man starts to see that you don't need him, but you choose him, that's when the game changes. Because suddenly he realizes that he has to show up in a real way to keep your attention, that he can't just coast through the relationship and expect you to stick around. And that right there, that's how you get a man to invest in you on an emotional level. So, if you want a man to feel emotionally addicted to you, stop trying to be everything he wants and start being everything you want. Build a life you're proud of. Be the kind of woman who commands respect, not just affection. Because when you do, you won't have to chase anyone. The right person will feel lucky just to be in your orbit. Familiarity can be one of the biggest killers of attraction. Think about it. In the beginning, everything is exciting. Every text message feels like a rush. Every date is an adventure. And every little detail about the person feels like a new discovery. But over time, if we're not careful, that excitement fades. Not because the connection isn't real, but because the mystery that made it so thrilling in the first place disappears. And this is where most people go wrong. See, when we meet someone we really like, we tend to throw ourselves into the relationship. We want to be available. We want to show we care, and we want them to know we're interested. And while that's natural, it's also where attraction can start to unravel. Because if someone feels like they already know everything about you, if there's nothing left to discover, if there's no sense of intrigue or anticipation, that emotional spark starts to dim. The key isn't about playing games or deliberately being distant. It's about keeping an element of mystery alive in a way that makes the relationship feel exciting and dynamic. It's about making sure that no matter how long you've been together, he still feels like he's learning new things about you, that there are still surprises, that there's still something to be uncovered. One of the most powerful ways to do this is by maintaining a strong sense of self, your passions, your interests, your goals. These are the things that make you unique. They're the things that initially attracted him to you in the first place. When you stop nurturing them, when your entire world starts revolving around him, that's when he starts to feel like he's figured you out completely. And when that happens, the relationship loses the very thing that made it exciting. Think about how you felt when you first met. He was drawn to your energy, to the way you lit up when you talked about something you loved, to the way you carried yourself with confidence and purpose. That version of you was captivating, but often as relationships progress, people let go of those things because they get comfortable. They stop prioritizing their own growth, they become predictable, and they lose the very essence of what made them irresistible. The reality is, attraction isn't just about how you look, how much time you spend together, or even how much you care about someone. It's about how someone feels when they're around you. Do they feel challenged? Do they feel like they need to keep showing up as their best self to keep up with you? Do they feel a sense of excitement knowing that there's always something new to discover about you? That's what keeps someone hooked on an emotional level. If you want to create that kind of connection, start by making sure you don't give everything away all at once. People think emotional intimacy means spilling everything about themselves immediately, but true connection happens over time. Let things unfold naturally. Let him earn the right to know you on a deeper level. Keep certain aspects of your life for yourself, not as a way to manipulate, but as a way to ensure that the relationship continues to have layers. This also means that your life outside of the relationship needs to remain full. The moment someone feels like they're your entire world, they stop feeling like they have to work for your attention. If you've ever been in a situation where things started out amazing but then slowly lost momentum, chances are you made it too easy. Not because you were too kind or too loving, but because you stopped being the person who had their own exciting life outside of the relationship. The moment you become predictable, the moment your energy shifts from being the person he was drawn to someone who is just there, is the moment he stops feeling that magnetic pull. So keep evolving, keep challenging yourself, keep exploring new things, be someone who has a life that excites you. When you do that, it automatically makes you more attractive, not because you're withholding anything, but because you remain an endless source of intrigue and inspiration. That's what keeps someone wanting more, not just in the beginning, but for the long run. If you want someone to be emotionally addicted to you, don't let the relationship be the only exciting thing about your life. Because when you live in a way that constantly brings newness, excitement, and growth into your own world, that energy is contagious. And that's what keeps a man feeling like he never wants to stop discovering more of you. Men don't fall in love because of comfort. They fall in love because of the spark that keeps them on their toes. If you want to create an emotional addiction, you have to master the art of playful challenge. That balance between warmth and excitement, between security and spontaneity. That's what makes a connection irresistible. Now, a lot of people get this wrong. They think challenging a man means being difficult or argumentative, but that's not it at all. Challenge is about playfulness. It's about bringing energy into the interaction in a way that keeps his mind engaged and his emotions invested. It's what makes you unforgettable. Imagine this. You're on a date, and he says something a little cocky. Maybe he brags about his basketball skills or how good he is at negotiating deals. Instead of just nodding along or giving him an easy win, you lean in with a teasing smile and say, "Oh yeah? I don't know, I feel like I could probably take you in a game of one-on-one." Instantly, the dynamic shifts. Now, there's a game being played. There's a spark. He's intrigued, he's engaged, and he's thinking about you in a way that's different from every other person who just laughs and agrees with whatever he says. That's what playful challenge does. It invites him to step up. It shows that you're not just someone who's going to worship the ground he walks on, but rather someone who keeps things exciting, someone who makes him work for it in a way that's fun and flirtatious. And that's the key. This isn't about putting a man down or making him feel small. It's about adding that extra layer of depth to the interaction that makes him feel alive when he's with you. Now, a lot of people misunderstand this and take it too far. They turn it into a power struggle. They try to prove they're better, or they constantly challenge everything a man says. But here's the thing. If challenge starts feeling like competition, the fun disappears. The goal isn't to make him feel like he's in a debate club. It's to create an atmosphere where he enjoys the banter, where he feels excited to impress you, where he loves the way you make him feel when you push back just enough. Think about it. The people we're most drawn to in life aren't the ones who just agree with everything we say. They're the ones who make us laugh, who make us think, who make us feel a little competitive in a way that's fun and engaging. It's that friend who always has the perfect comeback, that person who can make a simple conversation feel like an adventure. That's what creates emotional addiction, when being around you makes him feel more alive than being anywhere else. One of the biggest mistakes people make in relationships is that they stop being playful. At the beginning, everything is fun, everything is new, and there's this light energy that makes every conversation feel electric. But over time, that playfulness disappears. The teasing stops. The little games of flirtation fade. And suddenly, the relationship feels like a routine instead of an adventure. But if you want a man to stay addicted to you emotionally, you have to keep that playful energy alive. You have to make him feel like every day with you is different from the last. Like there's always something new to discover. That's what keeps him engaged. That's what makes him crave your presence. The beauty of this is that it doesn't require big, dramatic gestures. It's in the small moments. It's in the way you smirk at him when he says something ridiculous. It's in the way you playfully steal a fry from his plate and then challenge him to win it back. It's in the way you tell him, I bet you can't guess what I'm thinking right now, and then make him work for the answer. These little moments, they build something powerful. They make him associate you with excitement, with laughter, with challenge, and most importantly, with a sense of unpredictability that keeps him hooked. Because if there's one thing people can't resist, it's the feeling of never quite knowing what's coming next, but loving every second of it. And here's where it gets really interesting. When you master this, when you become the person who keeps him engaged on this level, he doesn't just enjoy being around you, he starts to need it. He starts looking for those moments, craving them, because you've become the source of something he doesn't get anywhere else. It's not just about attraction anymore, it's about emotional dependence. It's about being the highlight of his day, the person who can turn an ordinary moment into something unforgettable. That's why so many relationships fizzle out. They lose this dynamic. They become predictable, routine, expected. But when you maintain that element of challenge, when you make sure there's always a little spark, a little playfulness, a little moment of, I don't know what's coming next, but I know it's going to be fun, that's when you become irreplaceable. And when a man sees you as irreplaceable, when he feels that being with you makes life more exciting, more vibrant, more full, he's not just interested, he's addicted. You see, one of the biggest mistakes people make in relationships is thinking that love alone will keep someone hooked. But love isn't just about emotions. It's about the value you bring into someone's life. And nothing creates a stronger emotional bond than the realization that you are a rare, extraordinary presence, one that could be lost if not nurtured. The moment someone feels like they have you no matter what, the urgency to appreciate you starts to fade. It's human nature. We take for granted what we believe is guaranteed. But the second a man senses, even subconsciously, that your presence in his life is not an obligation but a choice, he starts to value you on a whole different level. When a man sees that you are capable of walking away if he stops showing up, he starts showing up. When he recognizes that you have standards, ones you don't just talk about but actually live by, he understands that being with you is a privilege, not a right. And that privilege is something he will fight to keep. Not because you threatened him with absence, but because you made him realize your worth through your actions, not just your words. Now, let's be clear. This isn't about playing games. It's not about manipulation. It's about truth. The truth is the most magnetic people are those who are confident in their ability to walk away from something that isn't serving them. The ones who don't cling out of fear, but choose to stay because it aligns with their values and desires. And that choice, that independence, is what makes them so attractive. Think about it. Have you ever met someone who just exuded self-respect? Someone who never had to beg for love or attention because their presence alone demanded it? That's the kind of person who creates emotional addiction. Because when you know someone isn't dependent on you, it makes you crave their presence even more. It makes you want to work for their attention because you know they aren't just giving it away to anyone. The key here is balance. You don't want to make a man feel like you're indifferent or cold. That's not the goal. The goal is to show him that while you love and appreciate him, you don't need him to complete you. That your happiness isn't tied to his every move. When he feels that, it changes the dynamic. He stops assuming you'll always be there and starts realizing that if he doesn't keep putting in the effort, he might actually lose you. And that's a powerful shift because now instead of being passive, he's engaged. Instead of coasting, he's invested. Not because he's afraid of losing you in a dramatic, toxic way, but because he values what he has with you. And that's what makes someone addicted to your presence. Not because they feel trapped, but because they feel compelled. Because they recognize deep down that life with you is better than life without you. So the question is, are you living in a way that makes someone feel that? Are you showing up as a person of value, someone who enhances their life in a way that makes them want to keep choosing you every single day? Or are you subconsciously making it too easy for them to take you for granted because you're afraid to set boundaries, afraid to walk away when you need to? The truth is, people who know their worth never have to convince someone to love them. They don't beg for attention, they don't chase affection, and they don't settle for breadcrumbs. Instead, they operate from a place of quiet confidence. They love fully, but they don't lose themselves in the process. And that self-assuredness is what makes them irresistible. It's what keeps a man coming